The financial advisor looked professional enough, pressed suit, confident smile, official-looking briefcase full of documents that promised to maximize retirement investments. But Margaret Thompson noticed what others missed: the micro-expressions of deception, the rehearsed responses, the way he gathered intelligence instead of providing service. 25 years of Navy intelligence training never leaves you, and neither does the instinct to protect people who can't protect themselves. Every story you're about to hear was earned, not given. Welcome to Earned Stories. Before we share this tale of earned vigilance and continued protection, tell us in the comments, what city are you watching from today? And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button, because every story we tell here was earned through sacrifice, dedication, and the understanding that true service never really ends. Sunset Manor Retirement Home in Green Bay, Wisconsin, was home to 120 elderly residents. For 8 years, Margaret Thompson had been the heart of this place, the 73-year-old activities director who organized Wednesday bingo nights, craft hours, and birthday parties with endless patience and genuine care. The residents called her Sweet Margaret. "Margaret always makes us smile," said 89-year-old Mrs. Rodriguez from her wheelchair. "She never gets impatient, never gets tired, and she truly cares about each of us." Margaret's expertise had been earned through 8 years of dedicated service. She knew every resident's story, remembered their families, and anticipated their needs with supernatural accuracy. But Margaret's real background was far more complex than anyone suspected. No one questioned why Margaret always observed her surroundings, why she evaluated new visitors so carefully, or why she organized activities with military precision. These habits had been earned through 25 years of Navy intelligence operations during the Cold War. Margaret's organizational system went beyond typical retirement home standards: detailed files on every resident, emergency protocols for unusual situations, and, most importantly, constant environmental awareness for potential threats. "Margaret notices everything," said head nurse Patricia Williams. "If a resident's mood changes, if there are problems with their families, she even predicts weather changes before they happen." Actually, Margaret's abilities came from 25 years of intelligence training: Cold War counterintelligence operations against the Soviets, human behavior analysis, and deception detection, skills that were now applied differently in civilian life, but with the same deadly precision. Every morning at 7 a.m., Margaret arrived at Sunset Manor and conducted what appeared to be routine preparation, but was actually a comprehensive security assessment. Margaret's office looked deceptively simple: craft supplies, activity schedules, and resident photos. But detailed observation would reveal everything was organized the way an intelligence professional would arrange it: emergency contact lists, awareness of residents' financial status, and tracking of unusual visitor patterns. "Why is Margaret so organized?" asked new volunteer Jessica Chin. "She remembers every detail, anticipates every situation." Margaret's expertise had been earned through 25 years of naval intelligence operations. During the Cold War, identifying enemy agents, recognizing deception patterns, and protecting vulnerable assets. Now, the same skills were being used to protect elderly residents. The residents never questioned why Margaret was so attentive, why she asked subtle questions in every conversation, evaluated family members, and was extra careful during financial discussions. Margaret's true mission was protecting residents from emotional and financial predators. Elderly people were often vulnerable targets. Loneliness, cognitive decline, and family estrangement made them ideal victims. Every afternoon, Margaret spent individual time with residents: chess with Mrs. Peterson, war stories with Mr. Williams, and gardening with Mrs. Chen. These interactions appeared to be innocent activities, but were actually intelligence gathering, assessing residents' emotional states, family relationships, and potential vulnerabilities. Margaret's expertise had been earned through experiences where protecting classified information meant life or death. Now she applied those same skills to protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. Thursday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Margaret was setting up chairs for Wednesday bingo when receptionist Jessica made an announcement. "Mrs. Rodriguez, financial advisor Mr. Davidson is here to see you." Margaret immediately became alert. Mrs. Rodriguez's family handled financial matters, and she hadn't mentioned any new advisor. Margaret's intelligence instincts triggered. The financial advisor had a professional appearance, expensive suit, confident demeanor, briefcase full of official-looking documents. But Margaret noticed details that 25 years of training had taught her to catch that the average person would miss. First, micro-expressions. A genuine financial professional would be confident but empathetic with elderly elderly clients. This man showed calculating and predatory expressions. Second, question patterns. A legitimate advisor would discuss the financial situation. This man was conducting subtle intelligence gathering about the residence's layout, other residents' wealth status, and security procedures. Third, documentation review technique. A real advisor would focus on the client's needs. This man was trying to extract Mrs. Rodriguez's personal information, social security details, bank accounts, family contact information. Margaret's Navy intelligence expertise immediately raised red flags. This was a classic reconnaissance operation, intelligence gathering for elderly exploitation. Margaret made her decision. This required skills earned through years of protecting classified information and vulnerable assets. Margaret casually approached Mrs. Rodriguez's room. "Oh, excuse me," she said in an innocent tone. "I was coming for tea service." This seemed like standard retirement home procedure, but actually Margaret was conducting tactical assessment, room positioning, exit routes, and most importantly, evaluating Mr. Davidson's behavior patterns. "Mrs. Rodriguez, this investment opportunity sounds amazing." Davidson was using manipulation techniques, "but we need to make a decision tonight because it's a limited time offer." Margaret immediately recognized classic fraud indicators: time pressure, urgency tactics, and attempts at social isolation. This was textbook elder abuse methodology. Margaret's expertise had been earned exactly for situations like this. During the Cold War, enemy agents used similar tactics: building trust, exploiting vulnerability, and extracting valuable information. "Mr. Davidson," Margaret politely interrupted, "could I see your credentials? It's standard procedure for our residents' safety." Davidson's reaction revealed everything: slight hesitation, defensive body language, and reluctance to produce credentials. Legitimate professionals are always prepared to provide documentation. "Of course," said Davidson, but Margaret noticed there were no genuine credentials in his briefcase, only printed materials and forms, easily fabricated documents. Margaret's assessment was complete. This was an organized fraud operation targeting Mrs. Rodriguez to financially exploit an elderly resident. Margaret sent a covert signal to Jessica, an emergency code developed exactly for situations like this: alert security, notify management, and discreetly contact authorities. Margaret's approach was deceptively gentle. "Mr. Davidson, Mrs. Rodriguez looks a little tired. Perhaps you could continue the conversation over tea?" This seemed like normal hospitality, but actually Margaret was establishing tactical control. Tea preparation created time, provided an opportunity to separate Davidson from Mrs. Rodriguez, and bought time for backup to arrive. "Margaret, you're so thoughtful," said Mrs. Rodriguez, actually feeling relieved. Davidson's pressure tactics had made her uncomfortable. Margaret's tea preparation was deliberately slow, to study Davidson and buy time for federal authorities to arrive. What her Navy intelligence training had taught her, patience was often the most powerful weapon. "Mr. Davidson, I'm curious," Margaret started casual conversation. "Which firm are you from?" Davidson's response immediately revealed deception. Firm name, license numbers, and contact information, all vague or inconsistent. Margaret's training was specialized to detect these kinds of discrepancies. "Interesting," Margaret said thoughtfully, "because I can't find this firm in the Wisconsin Financial Services Registry." Davidson's composure wavered. "Well, we're a new branch. Paperwork is still processing." Margaret smiled gently. "Oh, of course. Maybe I could verify with a phone call?" At this moment, Davidson realized this wasn't the expected resistance from an elderly activities director. Margaret's questions were too specific, too informed for casual inquiry. Margaret's expertise had been earned for exactly this scenario: making suspects uncomfortable without direct confrontation, gathering evidence, and providing intelligence to authorities. At exactly 3:15 p.m., Green Bay Police Department detectives arrived. Margaret's detailed report, documented evidence, and professional assessment provided the perfect prosecution case. The interview with Detective Sarah Mitchell was impressive. "Ma'am," said the detective, "this investigation shows exceptional thoroughness. What's your background?" Margaret smiled slightly. "Navy intelligence, 25 years. Counterintelligence operations during the Cold War." "How many successful operations have you had?" "Official records are classified," Margaret said. "But protecting Mrs. Rodriguez today was case number 156. The investigation revealed that Davidson was part of a larger elder fraud network, dozens of elderly victims across multiple states. Margaret's intervention exposed a major criminal organization. Mrs. Rodriguez gave Margaret a special thank you. "If I hadn't known you, I would have lost all my savings." Margaret declined any special recognition. "Protecting residents is part of my job," she said simply. 2 weeks later, Margaret continued working at Sunset Manor with the same routine. Bingo nights, craft hours, birthday parties, but now everyone knew Margaret's true capabilities. The facility's other staff began treating Margaret differently, not because they learned about her military service, but because she had demonstrated excellence. Margaret's expertise had been earned through 25 years of dedicated service, not given. Every intelligence operation, every deception detection, every protection mission, all of it had earned her current ability. Margaret Thompson's story shows this: real service never ends. It just continues in different ways. Her years in Navy intelligence had taught her to serve her country. Now she was using those same earned skills to serve a vulnerable elderly community. Protecting Mrs. Rodriguez was a natural extension of Margaret's lifelong mission, because for true protectors, duty never ends. It just takes new forms. Margaret's story was earned, not given. 25 years of Navy intelligence service, 156 confirmed operations, and countless training hours. All of it had prepared her for this moment. This is how expertise is earned, through sacrifice, dedication, and commitment to protecting others. Every story you hear was earned, not given. Margaret's story reminds us that extraordinary people often serve in ordinary roles. Their expertise earned through experiences we can't imagine, applied in ways that matter more than we realize. Have you ever encountered someone like this? Someone working an ordinary job, but with an extraordinary background. Share your story in the comments. And if this story touched you, subscribe, because every story we tell here is about earned expertise, quiet courage, and continued service. See you in the next earned story. And remember, elderly people in our communities are often our most vulnerable citizens, and the people protecting them deserve our earned respect more than recognition.